Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes through Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Daisy Mati, when are you ready? You can start, Mati.
Hare Krishna to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Uttam Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtake. Continue reading today from Canto 2, Chapter 8, Questions by King Parikshit. Text 15. O best of the Brahmanas, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the islands, as well as their different kinds of inhabitants, takes place. Text 16. Also, please describe the inner and outer space of the universe by specific divisions, as well as the character and activities of the great souls, and also the characteristics of the different classifications of the caste and orders of social life. Text 17. Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation, and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. Text 18. Please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliations of human society, as well as their specific occupational duties in religion, the classification of the social orders, as well as the administrative royal orders, and the religious principles for one who may be in distress. Text 19. Kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers. Text 20. What are the opulences of the great mystics, and what is their ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas? Text 21. Please explain unto me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated. Tell me also of the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service unto the Lord. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? And what are the procedures of religion, economic development, and sense satisfaction? Text 22. Please also explain how, merging the body of the Lord, living beings are created, and how the infidels appear in the world. Also, please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist. Text 23. The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and at the time of annihilation, gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all. Text 24. O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you, and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questionings. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection. Text 25. O great sage, you as good as Brahma, the original living being. Others follow customs only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculators. Text 26. O learned Brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. Text 27. Sutta Goswami said, thus Sukadev Goswami, being invited by Maharaj Parikshit to speak on topics of the Lord, Sri Krishna with the devotees, was very much pleased. Text 28. He began to reply to the inquiries of Maharaj Parikshit by saying that the science of the personality of Godhead was spoken first by the Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is the supplementary Vedic literature, and it is just in pursuance of the Vedas. Text 29. He also prepared himself to reply to all of that King Parikshit had inquired from him. Maharaj Parikshit was the best in the dynasty of the Pandus, and thus he was able to ask the right questions from the right person. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Questions by King Parikshit. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhi. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Sri Krishna Prabhu, you can take over, Prabhu, whenever you're ready.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. There is a wonderful section again. In the last section, Parikshit Maharaj was hearing different incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And at the end of the last section, it was mentioned that just by hearing these pastimes, one can be delivered. So now, so last section only like just the summary of all the Leela avatars, just a little bit of summary what they did, and the purpose of incarnation was mentioned. So now, after hearing that, now Parikshit Maharaj in this section is putting forward many questions so that the nectarian pastimes keeps, the details of those pastimes was actually can be spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. So that is the reason in this chapter, the entire chapter is full of questions. So today we'll start from verse number 15. So verse number 15 here, he's referring to Sukadeva Goswami as the best of the Brahmanas. So, and it's like in Bhagavad Gita, there are like 5 subject matters that we all know, like Ishvara, like about Supreme Lord, Jivatma, the living entity, and then the Kala, the time, Karma, the activities, and Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, Karma, and Prakriti, the material nature. So these 5 topics were discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So here also Parikshit Maharaj is asking about these 5 topics in specifying the details. So if you look at the verse number 15, he's specifying the Prakriti, like the directions of heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, mountains. So these are all part of the Prakriti. So the Prakriti, so he's asking Shukadeva Goswami to elaborate on the creation. How did the creation happen? How did all this manifest? So like that, he's asking a detailed question. And then he's also asking about specific questions on the universe. And he's also, if you look at these questions, in between those questions, he's touching He's touching the Mahatmas or great souls. Mahatam Chanu Charitam. Cha Anucharitam. So the great souls, please describe their character and activities. Anucharitam. So Charitam is like their activities and character. So, and then he's also asking about Varnashrama Vinishchayaha. So Varnashrama is, we all know Varna and Ashrama. There are 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. So he's asking Sukadeva Goswami to describe those Varna and Ashrama in detail. So Varnashrama is, as Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Varnashrama was created by me. So Varnashrama Vibhagashaha. So Varnashrama is basically a creation by Krishna for the purpose of elevation of living entities to the highest perfectional stage, which is the pure love of Godhead. From the lowest stage to the higher stage, Varnashrama can protect one from gradually moving towards that higher perfection of life. So that's why we have Brahmanas on the high, and then we have Shudras, and below Shudras also there are many categories, and everyone is welcome into the Varnashrama ashram so that they can gradually progress towards the perfection of life. And then Sukadeva Goswami is further going and asking about the Kala portion of the time, the duration, the manifestation of time. How everything in the creation is within the manifestation of the time, because in the material creation it's all temporary. So it has a time that is created, and then time it exists, and then when the winding up comes, the annihilation happens. So there is a time that is involved in this. So that time portion is very crucial, and he's also asking Sukadeva Goswami to explain the different ages in duration of the creation and duration of such ages. Yugani yugam manam cha. So yuga is, like we all know that in our universe there are 4 yugas, and like Krita Yuga or Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So then in many different universes, the cycle of time works differently. So he's also putting this question that how different activities of the incarnations happens in different ages. So again, this particular verse also tells that there are yuga avatars. So it says dharmo yascha yuge yuge avatara anucharitam. So avatara anucharita means every age Lord is taking incarnations. Please describe their characteristics and activities according to the age, what incarnations are coming coming to this, descending to this planetary system. So like that, Parikshit Maharaj is asking. So like we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though in Kali Yuga there is no avatar, he is called Channa avatar, means hidden incarnation. So Channa avatar, he comes as a devotee in order to teach the bhakti process, how to how to perform this bhakti, how to achieve the perfection of life. By practically doing it, he's showing us how to do it. So that's so in the Kali Yuga, even though there is no Leela avatar, there is Yuga avatar, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and at the end of the Kali Yuga, there is also Kalki avatar is also going to manifest. So one of the verses that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya composes is Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Sikshashtam Ekam Purusha Puranam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Krupambudir Tamaham Prapadye. So he says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually come to teach us the Vairagya Vidya, like that the art of learning the renunciation, and which is the true bhakti yoga. The bhakti yoga is actually, Bhagavatam also says that when you perform bhakti, the vairagya and jnana is like the byproduct of bhakti. So similarly, and if you take the other way around, if there is no manifestation of vairagya, that means we are not performing the bhakti in a proper state, proper mood. So both ways. So in this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us this vairagya vidya and Sikshashtamekam Purusha Puranam. So he is the oldest personality. He is none other than Lord Sri Krishna. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari. So this time he has come in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and he's Krupambudir Tamaham Prapade. He is offering his obeisances. So that's a Yuga Avatar in the verse number 17. The verse number 18. So he's asking about the human society. Naranam Sadharno Dharmaha. So general, like Sadharna means like common religious, affiliations in the human society. And then he is also asking, Sa Viseshaha Cha Yadrushaha. So there are special, what are the common religious affiliations in the human society, and what are the specific, occupational duties in the religion. And then he's also again putting forward that Varnashram Dharma question again. For the Raja Rishinam Cha Sreninam Raja Rishinam. So he's asking particularly Raja Rishis, okay, what is their social orders, and what kind of religious principles they follow. And then he's saying Dharmaha Krichreshu Jivatam. So for one who is in distress, what is the religious principles that he is supposed to follow? These are very, very technical questions. We can't even think of these questions. But so, Parikshit Maharaj, being an exalted Vaishnava, he could think of questions from all different angles. Whatever is the possible, from a spiritual perspective, and he's putting forward these questions to the perfect speaker, Sukadeva Goswami. So it's a pretty good combination here. So because these questions are put forward in front of the perfect speaker, the speaker is also feeling very enthusiastic to reply to these questions. So you will see at the end of this chapter. So and then verse number 19. So now again he is touching the portion of the Prakriti. So here the material elements, for example, this planetary systems is made of, we know that 5 Panchabhutas, and there are also elements, subtle elements like buddhi, ahankar, and manas, mind, and like these principal elements of creation. And then the number, how many elements are used for creation, how they are actually from where they came. So we all know that initially these elements were all into one particular lump, Mahatatva, and then from there Lord agitates that and then produces each of these elements. So he's asking about the question that's going to get answers from all these details, like what is the cause of these elements, how do they develop into these different elements which is used for creation. And then he is saying Purushardhana Vidir. So Purusha Aradhana Vidir. So Purusha is like the Supreme Lord, Aradhana is the devotional service, and Vidhi, like rules and regulations. He is also asking what is the process of worshipping the Supreme Lord, and Yogashya Adhyatmikasya cha. So in the spiritual, what are the spiritual methods used for the process of devotional service? So he's putting forward all this questions. You can see some questions are focused on the bhakti process, some questions are focused on the creation of the universe, how elements manifest, and some are focused on the time, kala. So now we're going into the verse number 20. Now here again he's focusing on the yogis and mystics. So how yogis and mystics, how they manifest, what are their opulences. So here saying Yogeshwara Aishwarya Gatihi Linga Bhanga Tu Yoginam Veda Upaveda. So he's all this, every word is very, very technical here. So he's putting all this questions, like in one verse, he's putting forward many, many questions. So he's asking Yogeshwara. So one of the names of Krishna is Yogeshwara. So he's like the perfect mystics. He's a mystic of all mystics. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Tatra. So like in Bhagavad Gita also we see that Yogeshwara. So he's saying, what is the power of opulence of the great mystics in this world? There are many mystics. What is their opulence? And what is the realization? What kind of realization they get after getting these opulences? And he's putting one specific subtle question, Linga Bhangas tu Yoginam. So Linga means the astral body, the subtle body. And then Bhanga means detachment. So how do they detach themselves from the subtle body? How do the mystics detach from the subtle body? Like very specific question he's asking. And then Vedo Paveda Dharmanam. So Veda Upaveda. So like the Vedas and anything connected to the Vedas indirectly. So all this knowledge, including the supplementary Puranas and everything. And he's asking, what is the basic knowledge from these scriptures? Itihasha Puranayo. So including all the Puranas and Itihasas. And he's asking, what is the basic knowledge of these scriptures? So then verse number 21. So here verse number 20, we can see that he's touching the mystics, the scriptures, and also how they achieve detachment. So like a lot of 4 or 5 questions in one particular verse itself. And then verse number 21, he's asking about the Prakritis, the 3 aspects of Prakriti. How the living entities are being generated, and how they are maintained, how they are annihilated. So generally we see that Prakriti is created, maintained, and annihilated. The living entities also go through the same 3 stages. Like they manifest and they stay for some time, and then they become unmanifest. Like their body gets annihilated. So here, Samplavaha Sarva Bhutanam. So like all living entities, not only human beings, Sarva Bhutanam. So even insects, trees, plants, birds, everybody is asking the question of all the living entities, how they are going through this. Please explain in detail, he's asking. And then, so he's also asking about Vikramaha Pratisankramaha. So he's asking about particular aspects of devotional service. Trivargasya cha yo vidaha. So Trivargasya means Trivarga is basically the religious activities, the economic development, and sense gratification. Like these generally called Trivarga. So these Trivargasya cha yog vidihi. So he's asking about ishta purtasya kamyanam. So he's putting forward questions for both devotional service. Also he's asking what are the vidhis, that rituals I have to, the injunctions that I have to follow, and what are the advantages and disadvantages, and procedures for getting the religious, economic development, religion, and sense gratification. So basically this the four purusha arthas, they say dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So this trivarga is basically it's in that line. So he's asking to explain in detail on these principles. So again, in the verse number 22, he's putting forward a question on how when the living sarva bhutanam, like when the living entities manifest and then get annihilated, again they get merged into the body of Mahavishnu. So how is that happening? In detail, he is asking the question, how is the living entities are again merging into body of Mahavishnu, and how they are created, and how, so in this world unconditional living entities exist, like here Atmano Bandhu Mokshacha. So how in this world Swarupataha? So he is also asking, putting a specific question that in this world there are some living entities who are unconditioned, like great Mahatmas. They are not conditioned by this material nature, right? How do they exist? That question is putting forward here specifically. These are very, very technical questions asking. In verse number 23, he is asking Sukadeva Goswami to elaborate on the pastimes of the Lord. Yatatma tantro Bhagavan vikridati atma mayaya. So he's asking about his internal potency, Lord's internal potency, and how Lord enjoys his pastimes. And then Vistrijya means giving up. So Vistrijya, how he gives up this external potency. So and then he just assumes the witness. Udaste Shakshidat Vibhuhu. So Vibhu is another name of Krishna, Almighty. So he's putting these specific questions on how Lord enjoys his pastimes by internal potency, and then at the time of annihilation, he is leaves, and then he leaves them to the external potency to, and then remains a witness. How is this happening? He's asking. And verse number 25. So again, he's touching on the great sages, Mahatmas. So he's asking the question about. So now he's glorifying Sukadeva Goswami, that so he is Prapannaya Mahamune. So he's saying, I'm fully surrendered. I'm fully surrendered. Please impart this knowledge onto me. So the same message, like Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, so I am fully surrendered. Now please explain now, Krishna, like, so he's saying in the second chapter also, Arjuna says that Sadimam Tvam Prapannam. So it's like, so same message here also, like Parikshit Maharaj is not only asking questions, he is completely surrendered, and whatever Sukadeva Goswami is going to say, he's in full faith, he's going to listen to him. So and then so he's basically requesting to satisfy his inquisitiveness. Prachanto me anupurvashaha. So he's asking, please, from very beginning to all my questions. So he's putting forward many questions, and now he's asking, please explain from the very beginning of my questions. So, and then, so he's all again glorifying, saying that Sukadeva Goswami is as good as Lord Brahma. So the original living entity, and all of the, so, and then he's saying Purvesham Purva Jai Kritam. So all of the previous acharyas have, spoken. This is, this knowledge that you're going to be speaking in line with them. So he's glorifying again. And the verse number 26. So he's saying that, so if you remember, Parishad Maharaj has taken a vow of fasting, Vratam. So now he's just elaborating, giving a hope to Sukadeva Goswami that I'm not hungry, I am been hearing the pastimes of the Lord. I don't feel any exhaustion because of my fasting. So please continue like that. So he's saying Brahman Anushanat Ami Pibata Achyuta Piyusham. So Pibata is like drinking. So he's drinking these nectarian words of Achyuta, like about Krishna, which is like a nectar, Piyusham. So he's asking Sukadeva Goswami to please continue this nectar. So, and then verse number 27. So now Suta Uvacha. So Suta Goswami is describing this to the sages in Naimisharanya. So now he is saying that Sukadeva Goswami, after being invited by Parikshit Maharaj, now he started to talk on the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna with the devotees, was very much pleased. So he's very much now, Sukadeva Goswami is very much pleased by the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. So and then verse number 28, he begins to reply to Maharaj Parikshit on the signs Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam. So he's on the signs of Lord Sri Krishna. He started Brahma Kalpa Upagate. So he started from, so he's giving the signs that Lord spoke to Brahma, the same signs. Now he started to describe, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam is the supplementary Vedic literature, which means it's a part of Vedas. So the same signs now he started to speak. And then finally on the verse number 29, so he also preparing himself to reply to all the specific questions Parikshit Maharaj has asked. So and then here again concluding the verse here, Pandunam Anupruchati. So Pandunam Anupruchati is like he's the best of the Pandavas, Parikshit Maharaj, in the lineage, and Maharaj Parikshit is the best in the dynasty of Pandavas, and so he was able to ask the right questions to the right person, Sukadeva Goswami. So this is a conclusion of this today's chapter. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I will offer obeisance to all the Vaishnavas also. Vanchakalpatarabhyasya kupasantu devacha patitana pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Thank you again, Prabhu. What a wonderful session.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.